Hey guys, it's TheFrXion or Tiger Tank 12, however you want to call me. I don't really care. And today we're back in World of Tanks. It's Wednesday, the 15th of April 2015, and I'm coming back at you guys with another video. Now, I've been gone for 4 weeks. That was not planned, definitely not. But there were some difficulties with different things, so personal things, and I could not upload anything. So I'm sorry about that. And I'm back now, but I still can't promise you guys regular upload schedule. So um, actually, what I've almost missed, I returned like 1 day ago. I've almost missed the 4 year anniversary, and you can see it in the back. World of Tanks is turning 4 years old. This game was released 2011 in April, um, and the open beta started then. There was a closed beta before that, but not a lot of people had access to that. And you have to say this game has grown exponentially, and it still is pretty much one of the biggest online multiplayer games now. And this is kind of the focus of this video today. World of Tanks has come a very, very long way. They have stormed the market in a very fast pace, and they have made this game has made wargaming one of the wealthiest gaming development companies, one of the wealthiest game development companies in the world, pretty much. And how did they do that? How did they get to this point where they are now? So, you're pretty much looking at the M4 Sherman right here, and this is one of those tanks that was pretty much well known. A lot of people know this tank by the name and know this tank before this game was released. The M4 Sherman, a legendary tank. I'm not saying it's the best tank. Definitely had a lot of issues, especially in comparison to the Tiger on the German front. No, the German tech tree, whatever. Just the Germans had the Tiger. In comparison to that, the M4 Sherman was absolutely nothing. The Tiger was a lot better, but it still had some troubles. But let's get back to the point. World of Tanks has pretty much gotten millions of players now in those 4 years. And a lot of the people have jumped into this game and made an account because they knew a certain tank. Now, World of Tanks was definitely a niche. This was a game in the market that nobody else has ever done. Now, World of Tanks combining the action, free-to-play formulas and being able to drive tanks like a pure tank game online, and with 100 tanks to unlock, kind of like a RPG with upgrading tanks and very fast-paced action. Nothing like this was around. War Thunder was not around. The new games that are coming out now, the one from Crytek with modern tanks wasn't out, and they definitely hit one of those spots. Wargaming definitely nailed it. A lot of people joined because they were, well, first of all, there was no tank game out there like this. Of course, there were some tank simulations, but nobody really cared for that because it was not fun. World of Tanks is fun and a little bit realistic. Of course, it's very far-fetched realism here, since there are a lot of tanks that don't exist or just were blueprints or prototypes. But still, nonetheless, this game was a huge success. People knew or heard about this game, and a lot of people that have made an account, they thought about, yeah, well, they knew certain tanks like the Sherman, the Tiger, the T-34, the IS maybe, for example, and these were definitely famous tanks. Now, if you look down here, these are a lot of tanks. They're just prototypes. The T-54 is past after World War II. IS-7, probably a lot of people have never heard of these tanks. The Su-100, maybe. The ISU-152 did exist and was not a blueprint. It was used during World War II. And but the most well-known were probably the Sherman, the M4, the Tiger 2, the Jag Tiger, and all that stuff. And this game combined them all. So this is how they reeled the people in. The people came, they noticed, well, they of course had an expectation. Back in the days when I started playing this game, I knew that the Tiger was a beast in World War II. Now, this is a very uh, ghetto-like way to say it, because the Tiger was a killing machine. It was a tank that was capable of destroying hundreds or several other tanks of the enemy faction without getting hit a single time because of the range of the gun and all that stuff. This is all historically right, and is just one of the points why people came to play this game. They heard of the Tiger and they knew the Tiger was in here, so they wanted to get the Tiger, and a lot of people rushed past a lot of the tanks to get to the certain tank they wanted to, and that, for example, was the Tiger. For me, I wanted to get the Tiger as soon as possible, but as soon as I got the Tiger, it was a very big disappointment because it was not the tank I expected it to be. Now, this is maybe a small problem for World of Tanks. Of course, this is how they gained a lot of players over the years, but it's also one of the certain problems. People use real money, and this is why this game is so genius for World of Tanks. This is how they make so much money. There are certain tanks people know and want to get to. Let's say, for example, the Ferdinand. And this is a tier 8 tank, so you'll have to work through all the tiers to get to the tier 8. So you start with tier 1. But people do not have a lot of patience, or if, in general, people don't want to spend too much time in this game because they have other things to do or they want to play other games. So they spend a lot of money. And this is where wargaming makes a lot of cash. People spend money in the game to get the Ferdinand faster by converting or getting premium time and premium tanks. And it's one of those things that it's a winning formula, right? So this is one of the problems. That's maybe not the problem, just that maybe the gaming company, the developers get money hungry and become greedy. That is maybe one of the problems that can come out. But the amount of players that have joined World of Tanks have pretty much had a very positive impact because the game was not shut down because it was a failure. People liked it, people still like it, and it's at a peak where it has never been this famous and never had this much power pretty much on the market. This game is War Thunder is one of the biggest competitors, but still War Thunder doesn't get to this level yet, in my opinion. And also, Wargaming has other games like World of Warplanes or World of Battleships that's coming out in the making. So, um, the amount of players, those hundreds and thousands and millions of players that have played this game are the reason why we have so many tanks now, so many maps, and so many updates, and why the developer is still very actively, or the developers are still very actively patching and always updating a game. Now this is the pro, but the problem here is that the new players that have joined, most of the time do not spend enough time on the certain tank to learn how to play them. And they rush past a lot of tanks to get to the one certain tank they want to get to. They spend a lot of cash, but the problem is that they don't really know how to play these tanks, which pretty much ends up in being a big problem for the players, because the players that join have some tanks, they're inexperienced, they don't really know how to play it, and they kind of can't compete in the battle. They go under, and a lot of time uh, they don't really do a lot of damage or stuff like that. But that's just a small part. So let's say they get to the tier 10, and they have no idea how the previous tiers played, and they just got the tier 10 by spending a lot of cash, a lot of gold, and XPing their way through all the tiers to get to the tier 10. So they have no idea how to play the tier 10, and that is maybe one of the problems. That is definitely one of the problems in World of Tanks. It's not maybe, it's definitely one of the problems. But still, nonetheless, it's been 4 years. The game is still running, and I've talked quite a lot already, and it's still going strong. Of course, there's still a lot of problems playing this game, especially artillery is one of the biggest concerns. Still, after 4 years, there's no real solution that they have. Balancing of matchmaker, platooning, and all that kind of stuff. There's still a lot of things that they can fix, but I think World of Tanks has gone a very good way, and that the developers are still very active. And maybe we'll see next year if we, the community, stay strong and we really try to improve the game via forums or videos, whatever, making our voices heard. We can change the outcome of this game. We can make it even better. So yeah, this was a pretty long introduction, and my thoughts on the 4-year anniversary of World of Tanks, and why World of Tanks has become so incredibly successful on the market. So to end this on a lighter note, let's jump into a gameplay I've saved for you guys. So this is a T110E3 gameplay I've got ready for you guys, and it is on Hidden Village. Now I chose this gameplay because of one purpose, and that is pretty much my idea of the current biggest problem in World of Tanks, and that is the balancing issues that are unfortunately been plaguing this game for a couple of months now, or even longer. Now, I know we have praised the game a lot in the previous 10-15 minutes, but it's also time to, criticize the game a little bit. Constructive criticism, of course, because we do not want to bash on this game, because we want to get it to the best state as possible. So I have to get the audio fixed real fast. So there is just one problem that this game has at the moment, in my opinion, and that is the tank destroyers. They're kind of unbalancing the game, because in my opinion the tank destroyers are too powerful, especially the higher tier tank destroyers. Now this is because of a certain reason. Now the reason being is that the tank destroyers have gotten really good armor, and because of the armor patch that was added a couple of months ago, the armor on these beasts has been upgraded extremely. Now, I think the armor patch was very necessary for the heavy tanks, because the heavy tanks really needed an armor patch, and it didn't really help that the heavy tanks were kind of undergunned because of the tank destroyers, because they had a lot better armament than the heavy tanks, so they needed to get this armor upgrade or update, which came in the previous patch like a couple of months ago. And unfortunately this armor patch was applied to every tank. Now if you shoot a track, there's a possibility that you will do 0 damage, because tracks act as armor, and there's also a higher chance of bouncing tanks, because they have kind of fixed the armor in general. Now you can see this FV215B is bouncing some shots because the tracks and all that kind of stuff. But the one thing right here is that tank destroyers that have already been very well armored at the beginning, like the Jagzilla, the Jag Panzer E100, You know, the T110E3, which has like the best frontal armor. This is why I chose this gameplay, to show you guys why this tank is so powerful. There is nothing gonna pen this tank, or at least it's very hard to pen this tank up front. Now, of course, if you flank around, you can always take care of the tank destroyers, but this fact has changed quite a lot, because tank destroyers now have armor and they have turrets like the FV-1803, even though he can't turn his turret 360 degrees. Tank destroyers have really gotten an upgrade in the last couple of patches, and in my opinion they have gotten very, very strong, and they have pushed the heavy tanks from their pole position. Now, as you can see, I am decimating this IS-8 right now in front of me because I have this gun. I'm higher tier, I have incredible armor, and he was not able to hit me because he didn't really aim for me. So you can see I bounced 2 shots already, and one was on my lower plate where something should have went through. Now, before they added or they implemented this armor patch, it was possible to pen the E3 on the lower plate. But now it's almost always an instant bounce, and it's even harder now since they reduced the accuracy of the guns. And you can see this guy, the 9-7 right here, is flanking me, and this is the only way to take out an E3, except if there is artillery. You can only take it out from behind or from the side, and even now I still managed to turn around and take him out. Now, if artillery would have been in this game, it would have been definitely different. Artillery would have focused me because nobody is able to take me out up front and penetrate my lower plate. You can see I already did 4,400 damage, 5,000 now. And the only way they were able to pen me was from the side or the back. And you can see right here they bounce off me again. Now, this is not just the E3, this is also the Jag Panzer E100 and a lot of other tanks. Jag Tiger bounces stuff, and it is really ridiculous, kind of, in my opinion, because heavy tanks needed the armor upgrade, but still this armor upgrade now is more a problem than a solution. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my tank destroyers and I love being able to play them like this and doing a lot of damage, but in my opinion they're too strong, they're too powerful, and Wargaming definitely needs to fix this. Now, this is one of the problems now that can definitely be fixed, maybe by reducing the armor on the tank destroyers, or just upping a little bit the reload time. I mean, tank destroyers kind of have taken over in some games. There's more tank destroyers than the normal tanks, and I think that is kind of a waste. Now, I'm gonna stop it real fast. I know now the game is already over. I know the tank destroyer, its main purpose is to destroy tanks, but at the current state they're a little bit too strong, the higher tier ones. I can't speak for the lower tiers, but the higher tier ones are definitely a little bit too strong. Some of them, the T110E3 is a little bit too strong, and I think there is some adjustment that needs to be made, and I think it will balance the game again if they would make the heavy or at least take a little bit of armor away on the tank destroyer, on some certain tank destroyer types, like the Jag Panzer E100, because you are unable to penetrate that tank, except if you have the lower plate or the side armor or the back. Otherwise, you're gonna have a really bad time penetrating the tank. With that fierce gun, that 100, I don't know, 130 millimeters, I'm not sure. No, it's more, I think 180 or 170. Nobody really wants to peek that tank to get a clear shot on him. Now, this is where artillery comes into play. Artillery, of course, is there to take out the tank destroyers and do massive amounts of damage. But artillery is a completely different problem, because artillery at the current state can do a lot more damage and can harm the game a lot more than adding to the game and trying to balance it, because artillery kind of, in my opinion, makes camping a lot worse. if there's no artillery, camping is a lot less noticeable, in my opinion. Now, of course, it's different from every situation, so um, it's always based on which situation you're in. But I think there needs to be some change, and it is very important that Wargaming works on this game. I mean, it's been 4 years, and they've done a great job, and let's see that the next 2 years get even better. So this is all I had to say. I hope you're not mad at me that I'm posting this video up so late, and I'll see you guys some other days. And of course, write in the comments what you think Wargaming should do and improve in the 4-year anniversary, and if you're still happy with the game at the current state. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'll see you guys another day.